welcome back to our Antiquity Whispers. This image is the spring dawn at the Colosseum. So I mentioned in a previous video about travelling to Venice at Christmas. That was 2005, and I'd just gone digital. And as a continuation from that, this was probably a few months later. This was March 2006. I should say, not 26, 2006, and decided to take another trip, this time to Rome, again, just for the love of travelling, but also around this time, around 2004, 5, 6, I think that was about the end of it. I was shooting a lot of stock photography. If you don't know what that is, it's where you create images and you put them into a big stock library, and that library then markets those images, and corporations can buy them, travel companies, books, publishers, newspapers, record companies. So if they want an image, say, of a group of youngsters partying on a beach or a lifestyle shot, rather than commission that, they can perhaps go into the library and see if someone's already shot that, and if they find what they want, they can purchase that, a license to use that image for whatever they need. Obviously, the more exposure it's getting, the more money it costs. So that's how it roughly worked. So I was shooting a lot of lifestyle shoots with models, but also doing quite a bit of travel stuff as well. Now, the problem with the travel stuff, everybody was doing it, so it was a very oversaturated market. But and nonetheless, I decided I was going to take my cameras with me, and we went to Rome, and we were going to enjoy the time there, exploring the city, and I might take a few pictures as well, which is what we did. Rome was amazing. It was so hot. It was only March, as I said, and it was 70 odd degrees, and it was boiling, and it was also really, really busy, the traffic there. And you can say that of any city. I've been to Madrid, that's busy. Paris is mayhem. So it applies to a lot of cities, but this was kind of on another level. The driving was incredible. People were turning around in the middle of the city, up the one-way streets and stuff. It was just like, there didn't be any rules. But anyway, it was amazing. Also, it's amazing that you cannot walk 12 foot in that city without having to stop and view some piece of antiquity or some sort of history. It's just everywhere, and it was fabulous. So as I said, spent a few days there, took a few pictures. Nothing ultra amazing. I didn't go out at the crack of dawn every morning. It was quite tiring with a lot of walking and stuff anyway. But on the one morning, I did decide that I really wanted to go and photograph the Colosseum at dawn. But I knew that in a stock library, if you search for the Colosseum, you would have millions and millions of pictures of the Colosseum. So it wasn't worth me doing a shoot to try and sell as a stock photography piece. It was purely just to experience the Colosseum at dawn on my own and take some pictures. So anyway, booked a taxi and off I trotted. And right at the Colosseum, it's still kind of dark, and it was amazing. There was a few street sweepers, no cats, no goats, thankfully, but a few street sweepers, and I just started sort of just exploring the Colosseum. And gradually, as the sun came up, I decided to kind of try and look for a different angle. And this taught me a lesson. It's taught me, or certainly reinforced a lesson, in that, you know, when you're exploring with the camera, our natural instinct, should we call it? It's not an instinct, but I can't think of a better word. Is to hold the camera up at eye level as you're stood up, you know. But you know, you need to explore the scene at different heights and different angles to fully, you know, make sure what's available in terms of the composition. So I decided, I thought, right, okay, I'm going to get down really low. There's so much just coming around the side of the Colosseum, and this shaft of light started appearing across the cobbles. So I got down on my belly in the dirt. It didn't look great, and it wasn't very comfortable either. And I decided to take a few pictures at that angle, and it was amazing. I knew straight away it was going to be a really strong image. a very graphic image. It's not really my style of photography, and I did do a picture later on which I prefer, which is this one on the screen at the moment, and that I love this picture. But the reason I'm showing you this other one is because it just shows you that you need to explore the scene when you're photographing. If you can get down, as I said, find different angles, find the better composition. But also, this image actually turned out to be one of my most financially successful images I've ever shot, and let me explain why. So when I got back from Rome, I decided to obviously edit the images, and there were some nice pictures in there, and it was all beautiful. It was great memories and stuff like that. And the Colosseum shots actually I really, really liked, and I thought, you know what, it does cost me nothing. I'll send these into my editor, and the agency at the time was Getty, and Getty was one of the big agencies. Over the years, stock photography had become very devalued. The Cobbles and Getty were the two big players, and they were buying up all the other agencies. And so the guys that I knew, some of them were making $1 million a year from their stock photography. Gradually, all the fees started coming down, the commissions were going up, and it got to the point where it wasn't viable anymore for certain shoots. And so I was at the tail end of it, really. So anyway, that's a side story. I submitted them in and thought no more of it. Anyway, they said, we really like to take these 2 or 3 images. I was like, that's great, I'll put them in. Didn't expect anything from it, because I said, picture of the Colosseum, millions of them. Anyway, about a month or so later, I get a statement through from the agency, and the picture is sold. I think it's sold, first of all, to American Airlines, and it's sold for big money. My cut was about £5,000 from that commission. It was the biggest I've ever had. But what was interesting was it kept on selling. The following month, it sold to British Airways. I think they bought it for something or other. And the biggest surprise, and it wasn't the biggest money by any means, it was pittance really. It ended up on the cover of the National Geographic, I think in France. So that was a real, big point for me in my career, because to have an image on the front of National Geographic was like, it's just out of this world. But that image carried on selling, and I think in the end it grossed over $50,000. As I said, I didn't get all that, unfortunately. The agency took a big fee from that. But it was probably to this date, my most successful selling image. It soon sort of dwindled away, because what happens was, once Getty and the agencies knew that image was such a popular image and doing really well, they tried to replicate it. Or another photographer decided to replicate it and try and match the light and everything. So it kind of had its day. But I think it's just a good lesson, just to take on board that it's so easy for us to sort of take pictures at eye level, but sometimes especially if you're photographing children, I think getting down at their level is a must really, for nice pictures. But it's good to explore. Don't just explore what's in front of you, explore the different angles and find the best composition. So I'm so glad that I got on my belly that morning. As I say, it wasn't a pretty sight, and but it was well worth it. And it's just a fabulous experience. So that's it for now. I'll catch you again soon. Cheers.